Very important elements of the INSEAD experience are obviously created by you as students yourself. To address you today, we have three student speakers: Alexandra Popa, Kunle Aladevolu, Byron Ascott-Evans. Please join me here.
Good afternoon. Is this good? Yeah? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Alexandra, and on behalf of the 16 Ds, I would love to welcome all of you, our beloved families, partners, friends, who travel from all over the world to share this special day with us, and those of you who are watching now from all over the world. Thank you for your support. I would also like to thank our dear professors and faculty members for the inspiration and knowledge they brought into our lives. Without you, our accomplishments wouldn't have been possible. Last but not least, Byron, Kunle, and I would like to thank you, dear 16Ds, for this great honor of sharing our journey with you today. Today is about celebrating our graduation, a great achievement that happened as a result of pushing the limits beyond what we thought was possible. The three of us will present 3 chapters with diverse perspectives about our experiences when it comes to pushing limits. My story starts in a village in Romania. From growing up there to being the first woman entrepreneur in my family and graduating today from INSEAD. My path was unconventional and full of challenges, I would say. In the environment where I grew up, I was told what was expected of me before I even knew what I wanted. However, like many of you, I did not believe in the status quo or others' notions of life and success. I wanted to create my own. And so, testing and pushing limits became one of my core values. I was very lucky to be born in a family that always aimed for more. After the fall of communism, my parents decided to move from the village to Bucharest to offer me and my brother access to better education. I missed the horse rides, the open fields, and playing on the dusty roads with my friends. But I enjoyed moving from a class with 7 students to one with 32 in a big city, and all the challenges that came with it. I remember my first English class when the teacher asked me to translate some words from Romanian. I answered in French with the only words I had learned at my previous school. At that point, there was no difference for me between the 2 languages. Now, looking back, this move gave me and my brother the privilege of being the first generation to go to university and learn a foreign language. But I am sure that when my parents made this decision, they did not imagine I would graduate today from the best business school of the world with all of you. My INSEAD year started with explosive excitement to meet all of you, incredible, smart people with impressive stories. But very soon, I felt overwhelmed. I thought I would not make it through P1, I found it beyond my powers to go back to studying so many hours a day and plan every minute to be able to sign all the assignments on time. On top of that, not speaking and studying in my native language, especially topics like financial accounting and CFP, constantly push me way out of my comfort zone. I have to admit, I felt scared. I even questioned my decision of doing an MBA. But right things are difficult things to do sometimes, and wanting to live this experience to its fullest made me more determined into my work. Very soon, together with you, dear classmates, and with support of our professors, I learned that our boundaries are further away than I had imagined. Pushing the limits in so many aspects seems so hard to accomplish. Still, now, looking back, this year, like many of you, I took 29 classes, read 100+ cases, spent countless nights studying in the library, started 8:30 morning classes after 3 hours of sleep, lived on 2 continents and 3 countries, planned 27 trips from Lisbon to Bagan, and numerous dinners and lunches. I stopped counting the numbers of parties after Dash. All that was overwhelming in the beginning now felt normal. In P5, we even managed to live 100 days in 7. So, with that in mind, we could feel even more confident that there is more to explore about our limits. So, dear friends, if there is one learning we should take with us, it is about how great our potential is. We have everything we need to make the best of our abilities and the best of our lives. When you feel that something is too difficult, I invite you to think about how many times you pushed your limits this year and realize that we have all the resources to transform big dreams into reality. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Kunle, and it's an exceptional honor to speak to you today. For all the education I've received from you over the last year, I am pleased to give something in return. Following on from Alex's speech about how we can get the most out of our potential by pushing limits, I will share with you how coming together helps us overcome our limits. I have been enriched by the diversity of culture, personality, and experiences that the world has come to expect of INSEAD. Diversity that's immensely helpful in pushing limits. This wonderful experience, however, started with a minor social shock. On admission, I realized I was in some way familiar with almost every Nigerian on the 16D and J promotions, and even the career development team. Coming here to expand my network, and being anxious who I'd meet, the last thing I expected was to huddle with people I had known previously. Perhaps my network was already big enough that I didn't need INSEAD. Perhaps INSEAD's candidate selection algorithm had just one attribute setting for Nigerians, who knows? The third and more likely explanation, however, was that the world was quickly becoming a smaller place. And now, at the end of this remarkable year at INSEAD, it feels even smaller. Like many of you, I have seen new countries, met great people, and experienced new cultures. I am now convinced, thanks to you all, that a smaller world is a better world, and coming together is the best way to push our limits. I remember back when I started my undergraduate degree, I was told, something I naively believed, that first-class degrees were for academics and future professors, No offense, professors. And having a second-class degree would show potential employers that you could balance work with a good social life. Some even called it IQ plus EQ. I always regretted letting this limit get the better of me. And so on admission to INSEAD, I told myself I would try my best to get a distinction. Now, we all know grades don't matter. But I wanted to prove something to myself. It was a sort of way to redeem my naivety from all those years ago. Soon after we started, though, I realized we were graded on a curve. The almighty curve. I immediately threw the distinction idea out the window. After all, I had just started in the best business school in the world, with so many great minds. What were the chances that I would be able to achieve it? I would be happy just not to fail. Looking back, this was another limit I set myself without even knowing it. Not long after this, though, I was with my study group during OB. Remember in P1, when we had to come up with the team contract that would describe our goals and our working conditions for going forward. And I remember looking at them sheepishly, and I said, guys, a few weeks ago, Dean's List would have been a goal of mine, but not anymore. I was so surprised by their response. Each of them encouraged me and said I can do it. They promised to do whatever it takes to make it happen for me. This was the first of many experiences I had this year that showed me the power of working together. The limit I had inadvertently set myself was eradicated by my group mates, soon to become my friends, and now family. You and I are now part of the awesome INSEAD family, a family we can count on, a family that encourages us to achieve, a family that has helped us break limitations placed on us by others, by society, and sometimes even by ourselves. No person is an island. We all need each other. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. This year has taught us just that. I was impressed by how people rallied around each other to help get jobs, complete assignments, not plagiarizing, of course, and even plan trips that Uz alluded to. Sometimes we know that these trips were even more complicated than some assignments. But we achieve more when we work together. Now, the small world I describe means greater collaboration, more tolerance, and an appreciation of diversity. Throwing race, creed, gender, and background aside, we are all fundamentally human, with the desire to love and be loved, the desire to achieve our goals and dreams, and the desire to be cared for and heard. I want us to take the spirit of togetherness that we have built here at INSEAD and apply it in the real world, because we break limits when we come together. And as Alien said as well, we are now citizens of the world. My brothers and sisters, I said all that to say this. Whatever limits we may face, be it physical, mental, or social, to name a few, we are equipped now more than ever to push the limits further and further away. We have the technologies and now this amazing INSEAD family to make it happen. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Breaking supposed limits is never easy. We're all human. We sometimes doubt ourselves. We have fears and anxieties, like I did, and still do. You probably do too. But just as my anxieties were appeased by my new family and the realization that the world is becoming a smaller place, the same fact can help us face our fears and realize that limits are much further away than we might think. They might not even exist. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Byron. Following on from Kunle's speech about how coming together helps us overcome our limits, I will share with you the importance of owning our limits and taking action as a result. I come from an incredible country called South Africa. It has 11 official languages and is home to over 55 million remarkable people with rich histories and rich stories. But it is also a country of immense difficulty for the majority of people who haven't lived my privileged life. In October 2015, riots broke out on university campuses across my country over the proposed tuition increases for 2016. Tuition increases that would mean many enrolled students would be unable to continue their studies, unable to graduate, and as a result, unable to pull their families and their communities out of a vicious poverty trap. Hearing the stories of the struggles these students faced made me realize for the first time how different my experience had been during university. More so, how lucky I was to be born where I was. How privileged I was for all the opportunities that I'd been given. But it also made me question why I hadn't had this realization before. After much thought, I've realized I didn't want to own my privilege. I didn't want to own my limit, because by owning it, I was acknowledging that it was real, that I had to take action to push it. And that was scary. But owning our limits and taking action as a result is critical, no matter how scary it may seem. This is exactly what this MBA experience has shown us. I shared my limit with friends, family, and colleagues. I was nervous because I wasn't sure how people would react, how their perception of me would change. But I also felt a sense of relief, the same kind of relief I felt when I shared many of my limits with many of you this year. Next, I asked people for help in my journey in breaking down why the limit existed and how I could overcome it. Limits are not simple issues, and we need support of each other to overcome them. As I think back on this year, we've had the privilege of a safe space, INSEAD, to own our limits and ask for help. In this magical space and through collective action, we have overcome significant professional and personal limits. For example, changing geography and industry while trying to maintain meaningful relationships with loved ones and family. As we step out of this magical space and continue our diverse journeys, the limits we will face will increase in complexity and magnitude. This puts the onus on us to use the learnings from this year to help others. How? Create safe spaces and find partners for collective actions. So, where does this leave us? How do you make sense of all of our stories? Don't despair. I have key takeaways and calls to actions for all of you. I mean, come now, what did you expect from a former management consultant that still dreams in PowerPoint? And I mean, more so, as soon-to-be minted MBAs, I know we all love these buzzwords, jargon, catchy insights at our fingertips when we re-enter the real world. So listen up. Take out your iPad or your Surface, put down your phone, hold that Facebook status update, tweet, Instagram post, because we have 3 killer insights to help us push our limits. Number 1, believe in your potential. As Alex said, believing in our potential helps us push past the subconscious and conscious limits. More so, we have all the resources and support we need to transform our beliefs into reality, instead of hoping the Z-curve and the far right tail of the distribution, thanks UDJ, are in our favor. How exciting. Number 2, a smaller world is a better world. As Kunle said, we have built powerful networks this year. Just look at all your new Facebook friends and LinkedIn connections. However, the real power of our new network is that the big world, with all of its big problems, are no longer so daunting, because we have a new family to help us. Number 3, keep asking questions. Let us commit to ourselves and to each other to keep that investigative spirit this year has shown as we move forward in life. Let us use this investigative spirit to uncover our limits, and as a result, take action to overcome them. Dear 16Ds, at times things will be scary and doubts may creep in as to whether we're capable of pushing past our limits and achieving our goals, but we are capable. This year has proved it. If you feel like you might give up, think back to this year with these lyrics in mind. Most certainly, I'm where I'm supposed to be. In a molten sun with you, I am free. Today, our hearts won first prize, because we're wise with the feeling we're all we need. INSEAD 16D, join us in pushing those limits. They are much further than you think and might not even exist. INSEAD 16D, join us in thanking everyone that has helped us get to where we are today, for without them, none of this would have been possible. INSEAD 16D, join us in continuing to live those hashtag INSEAD moments so beautifully captured in our yearbook as we re-enter the real world. We thank you.